Hey guys, welcome to the Arsenal Vision pre-match podcast show. You're probably wondering why Elliot's not doing this. I got called up to the first team, so I'll be hosting today. And if you don't know who I am, I'm Jessica at It's Jessino on Twitter. Don't block me. Block Elliot. Don't block me. Yeah, so called up to the first team today. Gonna be hosting unless Elliot comes sooner rather than later. And I'll be here with Paul from the Arsenal Vision podcast. So we'll be previewing, you know, the game. And you would think that because I do this on a daily basis that it wouldn't feel weird, but it feels like I'm doing this in somebody else's house. Like this is not my house. Doesn't feel the same. But nevertheless, I'm excited to preview the match with you guys. We'll talk a little bit about lineups, do some predictions, freak out about the lineup. I'm sure there'll be some people in there that maybe we're less excited to see than others. And Carabao Cup round quarterfinals. And I think this is a good opportunity for us to win a trophy. You know, I would love to win a trophy with Manchester City, who usually wins this competition out. I think we need to kind of take it more seriously than we probably would any other year. But we'll see what Paul has to say about that. But there's about 200 of you guys already watching. Make sure you guys are gently caressing the like button and subscribing to the channel. And I'm going to go ahead and bring in Paul now. Hey, Paul, how are you?
Woohoo! How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I was telling Elliot when he called me to be like, letting me know that I was going to be hosting today, that I don't think we've ever done a show like just you and I, or like actually spoke like directly before. So
No.
first time for everything. I'm
Yeah, a
loving
bit of a
it.
shock. When I looked at you first, Elliot, realizing now that it's not Elliot, I'm like, he's done something with his hair. I don't know what it is, but
Elliot
yeah,
looks a little off today. I'm not
looks a little
sure.
off.
a
Yeah,
little off.
but yeah,
Yeah, for
you and I have
sure.
been on a few things,
Hmm.
but there's always been a crowd, and you need these kind of one to one. Like we get to intersect our views, ideas, and you can't do that. I was thinking about it. And you and me and Elliot and stuff. When you have two, three people, like Elliot and I tend to agree when it's just the two of us on the pod. It's when there's three or four people, you can't triangulate your views to. So this will be
Hmm.
fun.
Yeah, I think so too. I guess what I kind of wanted to start off with is just how important is this competition for you? Like on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you care about the Carabao Cup? I mean, we're not in Europe, so there's no chance for a trophy in Europe, but this is kind of always looked at as the domestic trophy that's underneath. It's better than the Community Shield, but not
Hmm.
as good as the FA Cup. How important is this for you in the grand scheme of like what Arsenal is doing right now?
Well, it was a 7 for me, but now it's a 10 because now that Spurs are out of the Nations Conference something or other League Cup, they found the thousandth way not to win a trophy. We got to stay in this tournament longer than they do. If they get to the final, we need to beat them in the final. So that's moved me from a 7 to a 10. It's important because it's cups and tournaments are important for teams. Teams need to be winning stuff, and if you don't think the Carabao Cup is good enough, that's fine. That's part of our ambitions. Beyond the Carabao Cup, you go for the FA Cup, you go for the league. So you got to have something you're playing for. You've just got to. You got to be trying to win stuff. It's just bad psychology to try to be the sixth best team in the country. It's very hard to give that speech, right? You need to be
Hmm.
winning things, even if it's not the final end goal for you. And then for us and for Arteta and there for us, you've all sorts of reasons why players need games, meaningful games, and therefore the Carabao Cup needs to be meaningful for the squad. But if you're whether it's older players, younger players, players who are good and should be starters but aren't getting enough minutes, your Pepes, um, these competitions aren't just important for the minutes, they have to be important within themselves so that the minutes are important. And that contribute like it all just weaves together. You can't the moment you start to believe it's not important, that comes into the belief within the squad, within the team, within the fans. We're not winning the league this year, Jessica.
So we got to win something, or at
You
least
got to win.
attempt to win it.
You got to win.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think with not being in Europe, it's less opportunities, like you said, to rotate the squad and get people meaningful minutes. So this is definitely going to be it. So if you sit there and kind of act like it's not important, these guys are going to be like, well, because we're getting into a tricky period where we could potentially get some injuries, and these players need to have played and feel important in the squad. Your Callum Chambers, your Holdings, these guys. So Pepe, like you said. So yeah, but I think one of the changes that have happened over the last couple of years is Carabao Cup games early on used to be opportunities for us to see young players for the first time. And now it's becoming rotational minutes or minutes just for some of the older fringe players. Charlie Patino has posted on Instagram seemingly letting us know that he's going to be involved with the squad.
Woohoo!
Would you be excited to see him get
Yeah,
some
he's
minutes
great.
today?
Yeah, he's a great
Uh,
talent.
what do you think of him? Do you think that it's a little early for him? A lot of people are interested in seeing him, but what do you think about his talent? And would you like to see him kind of maybe get 30 minutes or so today?
I would love to see him get anything up to 90 minutes. I love Charlie Patino. I mean, you can only see so much. You get your 4 minutes highlights, and occasionally I can find another under 23s or under 18s club that happens to have posted the whole game on their site or something. But I've probably only seen two 90-minute games with Charlie Patino in it and a bunch of 4 minute games. Um, yeah, I think he might be the real deal. He's got brilliant vision. He's such a quick thinker. He's I don't know if you remember Gideon Zelalem back in the day when he first broke into our squad as a kid, and he used to do this 360-degree turn with the ball that he'd like do it on the spot, nobody could get near him. Patino has that. He can do that turn right in a circle. He'll do it in our defensive penalty box, and then uh, pass upfield or beat a guy. Like, he's a dribbler. He's got great vision. The only thing he doesn't have is a man's body. And if there's something I can talk about, Jessica, it's a man's body. But I won't.
Like, let's
Your
not
pivot
go
to
into it.
Manscaped there, Jessica. No, don't do that. We'll wait for Elliot for that. Look, he's a kid, and he's built like a kid still. Miguel Aziz is off at Portsmouth now, but like in the last 12 months, he like just developed this kind of mature man's body, and he's ready to go, and he's out on loan, banging up against other bruisers. And Patino's too early for that kind of a loan, I think. He needs another year within the system. I mean, he could end up that he's not ready for loan, and he's just so good that he ends up coming into the first team, kind of the
Mhm.
Cesc Fabregas way. I mean, he wasn't that much of a bruiser himself when he came in. When you're good enough, you're good enough. Um, but it's still it's way too early for him. But funny how things happen quickly. You never know what might happen this summer, or maybe we keep him in the academy for one more year and then he's ready. He might be
Mhm.
good enough. Certain players are so talented, like Saka. They don't need that loan. Maybe Smith Rowe didn't or did need the loan. The loan to Huddersfield did him a tremendous amount of good, but I bet if we'd kept him around, he'd be that good anyway. Um, and so certain players are good enough, and we're not such a good 11 and such a good team that we're not at the Chelsea City stage where if we give minutes to an upcoming Patino next season, it's going to cost us the title. It would be great if it did cost us the title, but it won't.
Yeah.
So there might be a route for him directly, like a Saka.
Yeah, that would be interesting to see if he could get some minutes at the back end of this of the season.
Sure.
Somebody else that's probably going to be involved is Balogun, who
Hmm.
has 100% outgrown under 23s. I mean, some of the clips that we see of Balogun, it's just like it's too easy. So he's somebody that I think might get some minutes, as well as Nketiah and Pepe. Do you see that as a front three that could do damage to this League One team, or do you think it'll be a little bit of the squeaky bum, not really finishing off chances because we're rusty type thing? I mean, what do you think about Balogun and Ketia, Pepe, maybe front three? You think it's good? Think it works?
Yeah, I think we'll kill them. with that front three. I mean, we might have a slightly rusty, squeaky bum for the first 15 or 20 minutes, which I'd kind of like to see. But look, I think if you have Balogun, Nketiah, and Pepe, the only problem with that is it might have a little too much sauce in terms of raw attackers, and they might be each one of them might be thinking, "No, I'll get on the end of it. You create for me." But I think that, look, what I love about these games is anything you throw up here that isn't like a whole bunch of Cedrics, I want to see. You could name any combination of these players, and I'm like, yeah, I want to see that. It's just like you go into an Indian restaurant at lunchtime and they got the buffet and they got 27 different dishes, and you come back 3 times and you try different combinations. So, yeah, I would absolutely love to see. I would imagine it'd be Nketiah central, Balogun on the left, where he seems to have played quite a bit for the under-23s, more as a winger with, what's the new fella they brought in as the striker? Can't remember he's gone. The name will come to me. So Balogun plays on the left, and then Pepe on the right. And yeah, I see Odegaard's in the squad. I mean, I think we might be surprised with a couple of players in there that don't need to be there, we think. An Odegaard and maybe a Partey. Guys who need games are coming into form. Maybe Odegaard doesn't anymore. But one of the things with the team is it still needs to work, right? You can say, oh, just play the players who haven't played and play the kids. And then you put them all out there and it's like, gosh, they're not very good. And it's because you're missing a couple of the players that make the team play in the way they should. And that might be a Partey plus an Odegaard. You can't just throw a whole bunch of people who've never played together. And then we'll spend the post-match analysis saying, there's no reason we shouldn't have killed them, and yet it went to penalties and we lost, right? Mm-hmm. It needs to function.
Well, this is kind of how it always goes. You know, when I previewed the game yesterday, I thought, let's be real. Some of these guys haven't played it for a while. If the pieces don't go together, it won't look slick the way that we want it to.
We're not doing them any favors, are we?
No. So I think we have to be a little bit more realistic about that. Yeah. But some players, I think some of the starters or maybe some of the first team kind of guys will be involved. But apparently the lineup is out. I'm not seeing it just yet. If you have the lineup, you guys put it out there so I can see it, because I'm checking Twitter and I don't see it just yet. Is it on Arsenal or what? Let me try to pull it
There are a lot of scammers out there, Jessica. I wouldn't fall for that. False lineups, saying it's out.
Saying things like, I get done by that all the time.
Yeah, don't fall for it.
We know. I wouldn't mind seeing a Cedric today. I didn't enjoy seeing him against Leeds, but it would be fine today. Let's see.
There was a time for a number of games where we thought Cedric was half decent. I don't know what happens with these players.
I don't know. I also think that seeing Tomiyasu lets you know that maybe we were a little off on that, but we'll see. I have the lineup. Yeah. So it's Leno, Cedric, Ben White, Holding, Tavares, Elneny, Odegaard, Smith Rowe, Pepe, Nketiah, and Balogun. So, and I'll read out the subs as well. It's Ramsdale, Tierney, Gabriel, Partey, Xhaka, Patino, Saka, Martinelli, and Lacazette. So the strongest bench I've ever seen in my whole life, plus a pretty strong starting lineup. I mean, Leno back in the side after a little bit of an injury there. Ben White, who I thought might play, because you kind of need somebody there that's a part of the regular team. And we know that he usually is every minutes type of guy. Tavares back in the team. Odegaard, that's an interesting one. No Thomas or Xhaka, but Odegaard. And the front three that we spoke about. So what are your first thoughts about that lineup? And is it enough to beat Sunderland? You know, yes. I'm not sure. Looking at it, I'm a little, no, I'm joking. But what do you think about the lineup?
I don't have any big thoughts. I've noticed in some of the training videos that you'd expect a bit of rivalry, a bit of kind of distance like you have between Leno and Ramsdale, between White and Holding, because White walks in, takes his spot. But any of the training videos I see, those two are mates. Like they do a lot of the exercise together. They're laughing, they're joking, like they've hit it off. And I also noted in pre-season a couple of times, Arteta took the opportunity to play Holding as the left centre back, not just the right centre back. Okay, he likes footedness. He likes the lefties on the left, but Pablo Mari has a bit of COVID at the moment, and B, he likes Holding. Holding's part of the leadership group, so I think that'll be a good centre back partnership for us. We'll have Nuno and Cedric. I think that'll be absolutely fine. I continue my role in life as not thinking the bad players are quite as bad as everybody else seems to think they are. I think I might have some kind of genetic problem. I don't know, but I don't hate Cedric when he plays for us, in the sense that like, he reminds us why he's not quite good enough. I remember why when he was good, and he still does a few things in the game where I'm like, well, that was actually quite good. So I think Cedric will be fine. So our midfield is, who did we say it was? It was El Neni plus
Odegaard and Smith Rowe.
But no Maitland-Niles. That's interesting.
But no Maitland-Niles. Yeah.
So that makes you think he's off this window, which is, again, weird. There's a whole conversation around that. Maybe that doesn't happen, but like Odegaard and Smith Rowe. So that's
pretty attacking.
It is. That could, yeah, side to side and very attacking at the same time. So I see El Neni going back and back, and the two guys going like that. So what'll be interesting is, does he try again with Odegaard on the left, because he's a lefty, doing almost the Xhaka role there, or does he do what I really want to see, which is Smith Rowe, which is kind of where he played for Huddersfield, as the left central midfielder, shuttling up and down, and Odegaard on the other side going like that while El Neni goes like that. That's what I hope happens. But I think he's going to use Odegaard really as the second pivot who slides up when we're in possession, and Smith Rowe more as the 8 who's a 10 when we're in possession. And then our front three were Balogun, Nketiah, and Pepe. Is that right?
Yeah, I did have a question about
your dream lineup, Jessica.
I mean, I feel like it's the obvious guys, but I did want to ask you your thoughts on Nicola Pepe. I mean, Arteta, when he was asked about Pepe, just said there just wasn't enough minutes for him at the moment, but the minutes that were there were given to Nketiah. What do you think about Pepe, like, in terms of, is this an opportunity for him to show that he can play and that we can use him? He's going to the African Cup of Nations, which is kind of maybe the wrong time for him to leave the squad, because we will need to rotate in this time. Do you think Pepe's kind of time is up, or do you think that that's a little presumptuous and there is a little bit that can be kind of rekindled between Arteta and Pepe, and he can have a future here?
I think he's on what we call, in cricketing terms, are you a cricket person, Jessica? He's on a sticky wicket.
That means nothing to me.
He's in a bit of a difficult spot at the moment, right? I think Arteta has shown his hand in terms of who he wants to push forward with. Now, things change quickly in football, but if things don't change in football, that's Martinelli, Smith Rowe, Odegaard, Lacazette, Saka, and some ways behind them, because he hasn't even got minutes, is our boy Nicolas Pepe. It can change because you can get an injury, because somebody can lose form. But besides that, you can pick up it's not a new development. Like when Pepe was taken out of the lineup for a while last year, and it was clear the messages were Arteta was working with him, like he did with Martinelli, and he took him out and he worked with him, and we didn't see him. And then we began to get the message that he's working with them. He's trying to change how he plays the game, like he did with, reputed to have done with Sterling, with Sané, with these guys. So he kind of took him offline, said, forget about that game day stuff, that match day stuff. Let's re-engineer some of the things you're doing in your game. When he brought him back, unlike he did with other players, he kind of said, look, I've done what I can do with Pepe. Now it's up to Pepe. It wasn't the glowing endorsement I expect. It was kind of like, I don't know what's going to happen, but don't blame me from here. I did what I could do. And then Pepe's season it got better towards the end. And then he started for us, and he started fairly hot this season. And we said, oh, well, does he deserve to be dropped just because we love Saka? He's playing well. How can you drop Pepe? And then a few different changes. Saka comes in, and Saka takes the spot and holds the spot. I don't see who you can drop. If he needed Pepe, he'd use Pepe. But if he doesn't need Pepe, I think these are his go-forward players, and Pepe's in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree mostly with what you've said, and I just think like with Pepe, Arteta waited just long enough, like until Saka and ESR started to show some end product, and I think that that closed the door on him a little bit more than it did before because
That's a
that's really
great
all
point.
he
Yeah.
had over them. He really just he had that end product, but without the other stuff, and he was a little bit frustrating. But now that those boys are starting to put the ball in the back of the net, it just feels like the door is just slowly closing in on him. And I'm not sure if there's something in training, or something like that, because we can't see that, whether or not that might have something to do with it. Maybe he's not training well, but I just don't really see how he gets back in with
Yeah.
Martinelli and Saka and ESR playing as well as they are.
Yeah. I mean, you never know how much you can take out of it. But when you listen to him talk about Pepe, I don't get the sense that he's communicating Pepe isn't trying as much as Pepe can try in training. It doesn't feel like he's knocking the guy, and he's just, it's not exactly the kind of player he wants in that spot. And I think you hit the nail on the head. He had end product going for him. And Aubameyang had end product going for him. And as soon as he found other ways to get end product, Arteta has kind of taken a position that says, and the thing I said on the last podcast, even if Pepe were in his better form and Aubameyang were in his better form, I wouldn't want them in the lineup right now, because I feel we'd lose too much of the other energy. And I don't mean the running around energy. I mean the collective energy that allows us to pressure, be in the game, go at them. Not just the running around side of it. It's just a different energy than Pepe's kind of quirky, kind of cutting in, laying it back. He loses it, he keeps it. Aubameyang's kind of, he'll chase around the back line, but then you kind of get the Aubameyang lilting along. Like that. That's all great if you're banging them in. But when you're not banging them in, that lack of collectivism, like,
Yeah.
and like I've called Martinelli, I don't know if I'm allowed to call people this anymore, a terrorist, but for as long as they let me call people that on air, like, we know what I mean when I say that, and it's not just running around like crazy, but he's just like, there's a ball there to be won in midfield, and he's back there, he'll nip in, knock it to somebody, make the run. And if you're a defender, you absolutely hate that, because you don't know what's going to happen next. That unpredictability in vertical lines. And Smith Rowe hits vertical lines. Saka hits vertical lines. Odegaard conducts a little more, but he'll bang the ball. Like his assist for the Saka goal, well, it's not an assist. His first time ball on the right wing to Saka, and Saka works his way across and then gets his deflection. That first time ball is a line breaker through basically two sets of lines. You don't want to be facing that. His little dinked assist, there's a lot of verticality in his passing, even if his run-in's more side to side.
Yeah, for sure. I think
do something with that, Jessica. Pull that all together.
I just like hearing your analysis, because you're very in depth with it. It's awesome. But yeah, I think what you're saying, like Odegaard, his verticality is only really useful if you have people running in behind, and Martinelli has that. I did want to ask you, there with the Smith Rowe versus Martinelli in that left midfield or left winger position, have you seen a change in the balance there? Do you think that combination is more dangerous than the ESR Saka one? What have you made of that? Because for me, I feel like you can't change it, But it's harsh. It feels harsh on Emil Smith Rowe because he comes in and scores goals every single time. I wouldn't be surprised if he scored a couple today. What have you made of the balance between Martinelli and Saka? And for you, is that a little bit more your vibe than the ESR or Saka one?
I just don't know how you can move away from, for the time being, Martinelli and Lacazette, because it makes, like, Lacazette made quite a bit of sense. Now he makes loads of sense with Martinelli making that diagonal run in behind. He's kind of Lacazette's legs. He's that threat in behind. Like we talk about it, oh, if only we had one striker made up of Aubameyang and Lacazette. Well, that's illegal to begin with. You can't be doing that kind of stuff. And secondly, you kind of get it with Martinelli plus Lacazette. Look, I love Smith Rowe over there, but it doesn't have that striker threat. Like, we just don't have the striker threat with Smith Rowe. Smith Rowe's a starter. Martinelli's now potentially a starter. Lacazette's a starter. Saka's a starter. Odegaard's a starter. So we have a problem. Somebody's going to miss out for a little while. But I think Smith Rowe has a tremendous mentality, and he's not going to get freaked out by the fact that it might be him who's looking to come in, because Odegaard makes all kinds of sense in terms of how we conduct play. I genuinely feel he's Arteta on the pitch, right? He's the guy going out there with the game plan, with the playing. Like, you can win a game, and you can win the game the way the manager wants to be playing so that he can progress the style over time. And that's who Odegaard is. He's conducting the play so that we can progress in a particular style over time and become better with each game as the season progresses. And so I think if Odegaard's in any kind of form, he's a starter, and you can't drop Saka. But I still think Smith Rowe is a starter. I just we'll play different ways. We might play, like, maybe that's why we're playing those guys today as a three in midfield. Maybe he wants to go back to that and have this as an option, the three in midfield working better. The criticism we had of this lineup when we had that tough game against Crystal Palace with the three in midfield was that the players he had on weren't good against transition. It was kind of, it's not their fault. And I think he means Odegaard as a pivot is not good when guys are streaming the other way with the ball. So I don't think there's going to be a great test of that today, but maybe. But it might be a more friendly scenario for these guys to get better at playing with the three in midfield.
Yeah, that's a really good point, that this could be a good opportunity for, in a not low pressure, because we still have to win the game, but to figure out if at some point maybe there is legs to this Smith Rowe, Odegaard plus somebody else lineup, because people want to see it. But when we have seen it, it's left us wanting, and it's probably just because it's not right at the moment. So we'll see what happens.
Well, I think it gives us that scenario when we're in possession. And City play with the three in midfield largely in possession. The problem with Crystal Palace was we ended up not being in possession. We ended up in pushback, been hit on transition. So this isn't a good test of the Crystal Palace scenario, but it is an opportunity for the two lads to learn to play in a three while we're in possession. So I think that's what that gives us.
Yeah, I agree with that. And so, kind of going back to the game a little bit and just our overall form, this is in the midst of a decent run. I think we've kind of gotten back on track after the Everton debacle, if that's what you want to call it. And I saw something online that if we were to win this game and keep a clean sheet, it would be the first time since ever. I don't remember the date, but it was a long, long time ago since we had 6 wins in consecutive wins that were clean sheets, home wins. And our home form has been so much better since last season. And you could probably attribute that to just having fans in the stands. But
certainly,
what have you made of our home form? And what do you think is the reason why it's not translating to the away form just yet?
Yeah, so I think that's a really interesting question. There was a lot. I didn't get the hand rubbing last year about the fact our home form was so bad. I mean, there's nobody in the stadium. you're playing in a dead place that you're kind of expecting some life. Like you go away to somebody else's stadium and it's dead. That's one thing. Playing in your home stadium and it's dead, that's kind of hollow. Um, Look, Arteta talked a lot early on about getting the fans behind us and the home support and stuff, and then we didn't have it, and we had COVID and blah blah blah, and it went on for a long time. And you expect that from an incoming manager. It's kind of like, don't shoot me, I'm new, I need your support. But he's never stopped talking about it. And I think he's a very strict, like he played for Rangers, he played for Everton, he played at PSG. Those are raucous, raucous stadiums. I think it's bedded into him very deeply, the difference between home and away, the difference between that level of support. That's why, and like we talk about Everton and United, and I think we went there somewhat cowed. I think, Clive used the expression, don't play the jerseys. And I felt, don't play Old Trafford. Like they were there to be beaten. Everton were there to be beaten. We played Goodison instead of playing that Everton team as they were. I actually think Everton were a lot better than they've been in other games. Like they had a couple of guys on fire that day. Gray smacking them in every time he got a sighted goal. I mean, a little sympathy here for Arsenal, right? He hit the ball even for the other goal with who they have striker, the Brazilian chappie on the day. What's his name?
For who?
Do you remember? Everton.
Richarlison,
right. Like Richarlison on fire, Gray on fire. We picked the wrong day to play Everton, not because Everton were great, but because they had two guys who were banging them in. So I think we were a little unlucky there. But mostly we ended up allowing Goodison to play us instead of us playing that Everton team. And that's what I was looking for when we went to Leeds. Leeds weren't great, but we brought the energy that we did not have against Everton and against United at their grounds. To the point, like, I'd love to get into a bit of a Xhaka discussion, right? In the sense that
no,
yeah,
no, go ahead.
So, just a quick point, right? Which is like, I similarly thought that was a dangerous thing to do. But people say it came from nowhere. There was no reason in that game, in that situation. But there kind of was a reason. Somebody needed to stamp on that fucker's foot, right? He'd smacked Tierney in the face off the pitch. He was head to head with White. That was a very aggressive ground, a very aggressive atmosphere. We know there was the incident with the supporter. Now, hopefully that was one person, but it was one person in a crowd of very aggressive. Like I had a couple of guys in my mentions about you soft lads coming up north, some Leeds guys. You guys coming up north, we're basically going to do you because you're soft Southerners and you don't like it up north, blah, blah, blah. Like that's a mentality at away grounds up north. And that's what I liked at Leeds. And like the one thing I'll say about the Xhaka thing is somebody needed to step on somebody's ankle there. Like that's a factor in the game. It's kind of war. You can't be the nice boys waiting for the referee to protect you saying, oh, but they're mean to us. At some stage, we got to not be the Boy Scouts who come up from South. We need to put it about, get our retaliation in early. And we've got 5, 6, 7 players at the back, big characters, who should take no shit from nobody and should remind Rafinha that know your place or we'll put you in it. Because that's what big teams do.
Would you have felt differently if he had gotten the red card, though?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. No, I look, at the time I felt differently then. I thought it was madness. Like I saw the red mist descend. I don't want that to be...
red mist.
Yeah. Like you could see it in his eyes. We were losing him. Anything might happen next. Like he was gone. Don't get me wrong, right? I'm not... I would say this is a partial... This is more a, how could he possibly even think of doing such a thing? Well, I can see why somebody needed to do that. Like, we just had the incident before halftime. They go into the dressing room. I think we were pretty fucking fired up when we came out
Yeah.
after they talked about Tierney getting smacked in the face by Rafinha, about the shit going on with the crowd, and all sorts of other things we don't know, getting kicked all over the place. And a couple of minutes, like it was 2 minutes into the game, he stamps on the guy's ankle for no good reason. Well, perhaps there's a good reason. You just don't want, like, I prefer Party doing it, but somehow, if somebody's going to step on an ankle in our team, it's probably going to be Xhaka. It's just the red mist.
Yeah, I couldn't believe we got away with it. Honestly, I was like, he's gone, he's off, and that would have been horrible considering he was
It would
playing
have been. I don't think
relatively
most of
well.
those. I think most of those are the orange card where people say he could have gone for that. I don't actually
Sure, yeah.
think. You know what I mean? But apparently he must have done it well enough because he was laughing with the referee and the referee was laughing with
Oh,
him. But
him laughing was just, oh, I was like, please stop. Like, you're doing
it
too
was his
much. Just
charm
walk away.
offensive. But
Gosh.
yeah,
I'm not sure if we could ever, I don't know if he has any charm about him. I don't know. I just think the guy is just, sometimes he just loses it and we just have
my
to deal with it
daughter's
as long as he's a part
25,
of the team.
Jessica, and I can assure you he has some charm.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll take your word for it. There's about 560 something of you guys in here
Woohoo!
watching. Make sure you guys are, lightly tapping the like button, subscribing to the channel. We have a little bit more time, about 10 minutes or so. If you guys want to drop some questions, feel free. I feel like there's some questions around what we think this formation could potentially be. I have to be honest, you guys, I never really pay attention to the formation until the first 5 minutes and then see where people are standing. It could be a 4-2-3-1. It could be a 4-1-4-1. It could be a 4-3-3. It could be a 4-4-2. We just don't really know yet. But when it comes to the guys up top, you said that you thought that Ballot or Nketiah would be playing through the middle.
Yep.
Is that what you thought?
Yep.
I think I'd slightly disagree. I think that
Ooh.
Nketiah is going to play off of the left. That's where he's kind of been playing, and maybe Balogun through the middle. I'm
Yeah,
really
that's a
hoping
good
that,
call. Yeah.
I'm hoping that it might be that, because Nketiah has been playing okay or good off of the left, but if you had to guess, who do you think is going to maybe score a goal? Who do you think is going to be influential in this game? How do you think the game is going to go? And who do you think might score an assist? What do you think in that respect?
I think Pepe is a good shout because I think there'll be gaps, there'll be spaces. I think there'll be a little bit of disarray, especially when Sunderland get a little tired. And he's a world-class finisher, so I'd never not bet on Pepe. Also, he's selfish and he hasn't played a lot. So I think when he gets into good positions, he ain't passing right now. He's £72 million Pepe, and he's aware of that fact. And so I think he's gone. But I think all three of them are going to be pretty greedy for the goal. Balogun to prove a point, Eddie because he's looking for his next move, and Pepe because he's pissed and he wants minutes and to prove a point. I think Pepe is the best position to put the ball in the net, though. Eddie to mop things up near the 6-yard box, but Pepe will be taking shots from all over. I think we'll play a 4-3-3. I think Odegaard will be to the left. He'll kind of be the second pivot. Smith Rowe will be a little freer on the right. He'll be more like the 10. So it'll be a 4-2-3-1 with Smith Rowe as the 10 part of the time. But when it's more of a midfield battle or we're pushed back a little bit, we'll see more that Odegaard is that slider beside El Neni who pushes up when we're in possession, and then it'll look more like a 3 with Smith Rowe on the other side. So be a bit of a slider.
This is what they have on the interwebs. But I never really take this at face value. But this is kind of what they're saying that they think it is. Again, I could easily see it being anything else. I think
it's kind of right. I think El Neni will be more central. Smith Rowe will be more to his right. And Odegaard will move from there up and down a bit depending on the state of play. So it'll look like that sometimes. But I think El Neni will be more central and Smith Rowe will be to his right. Jessica, you're on mute.
Thank
Which
you.
which is weird because you're the dude who asks the questions. I can be
I
on
know
mute,
this.
but you can't.
I have to mute while I'm typing because it'll just be like super loud. But I do that all the time. Like it doesn't matter if I'm hosting or not. I will be on mute. Um,
To be
but
honest, I generally ignore the questions according to Elliot, and I find it difficult to stay on topic. So you, it's probably fine if you're on mute. I'll just end up saying the stuff I was going to say anyway.
true, true.
True.
The Onyx Lens asks if Pepe balls out today, will he get some time with the run of fixtures coming up? What do you think? We play Norwich away, we play at Wolves, and then City. Those are like our next 3 games. Could you see him get
If
some
he
minutes?
balls out, Arteta has been consistent on rewarding performances. Like I think his message is meritocracy.
Mm.
Now you might say you can of course pick holes in it, and he has his favorites, but he definitely meritocracies. So if Pepe balls out, yes, I think it'll help him get minutes. I don't think he'll ignore it. But if Pepe gets a goal, um, or Pepe plays okay but scores 2, that's not my definition of balls out. Um, hang on,
I mean, it's
I don't know
against
if I,
Sunderland
yeah,
as well. I'm like kind of like it's Sunderland, so I'm not sure, but maybe if his body language is right and his
yeah,
intentions are good regardless, I could see him getting some minutes. I don't think Arteta's so like I'm not sure if I think for sure the door is closed, but I think it'll be hard for him to get back in. And whatever minutes he gets, he has to use them to the best of his ability. But yeah, Pepe, if he balls out today, I could see him playing Norwich away, like some minutes against Norwich away. I could see that maybe.
yeah.
But sure.
I think I take your point on the it's only Sunderland, but Arteta can't do a it's only Sunderland, right? He's
Yeah, you can't.
he can't, and he can't say it's only the Carabao Cup. If it's a meritocracy, if he's saying to the guy like his message is people who put it in practice will get serious consideration. So he can't communicate that it's only Sunderland. So if Pepe balls out, then yeah, he's up for serious consideration. But getting a goal or doing some fancy tricks isn't quite enough. He's got to show. He's got to do it in the right way, in the way we play. Not he can't go back to amazing everybody the way he used to play when he was at Lille or the way he first played for us as a soloist. He kind of needs to show off within the system.
He kind of needs to do a Martinelli, I think. I think he needs to show a little bit of that restraint, but also with a little bit of his own vibe connected to it. It's difficult to do, and he's
Yep.
older than Martinelli, so I don't think he has the same ability maybe to switch it up. But I think you're spot on that he would need to show a little bit of that. I don't know if I want to call it maturity or what, but shining within the system, kind of
Yeah,
like you
within
said.
the if he balls out within the system, that's what Arteta wants to promote, right? What he doesn't want to
Yeah.
promote is some guy having a worldly performance, doing his own thing off in the corner. He's going to be like, that is the last thing I want everybody else saying. Oh, that's apparently good, right?
No, I hear
So
you. This is a good question for you, Eric Newcomer. Thank you so much for your question. Do you think that the lineup can play out of the back, with Leno mostly lumping it forward? I mean, you talk a lot about the playing it out of the back, when we use it, when we don't, how it works, how it doesn't. Do you think that will play out of the back? I mean, can you see Sunderland kind of trying to press us and us scoring one of those perfection goals with Leno back there? I think we overplay the Leno can't play out of the back. He's not as good as Ramsdale, but he can play out of the back, right, Paul?
yeah, the especially in kind of the middle section of his career under Arteta, he did it quite a lot. And I think we talked quite a bit about how he was improving his distribution and his chips to the fullbacks, and then we started making a few mistakes, and it got to the end of the season, and it all got a bit serious and blah blah blah. And I do wonder if part of the frustration with Leno and the reason we brought in Ramsdale early was uh, to put more pressure on Leno. I don't think they planned to drop Leno at the start of the season. I think they saw that as more of a gradual switch. But they had no leverage over Leno, and Leno cares more about his national team position maybe than, let's just say, he felt secure in his role at Arsenal, too secure that mainly he didn't want to be this screw up just when his chance was coming with the national team in the World Cup. You know, he's
Yeah.
starting to be a more important goalkeeper for them. He didn't want to be the gaff meister central over at Arsenal with these fellas dropping in and screwing up, playing out from the back and making them look bad. I think there was also plenty of talk about how he didn't get on with our goalkeeper coach, Iñaki Kanu. But I doubt that's personality, right? That's
Hmm.
the coach wanting you to do things you don't want to do anymore. I don't think Leno thought we were good enough playing out of the back. This is just speculation, but I think to your point,
We
it
love a
wasn't
bit
that.
of speculation.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
love it.
It wasn't because it wasn't that he couldn't do it. It's that we did it less and less. And Ramsdale comes in and he mixes it up. He goes long, he goes short, but he's very, very brave on the playing out stuff. There's a brilliant moment in the game against Leeds early on that I don't think anybody's talked about. But Rafinha goes charging in on Ramsdale, who just at the last moment pokes it past him to, I think it's White,
Yeah.
and Rafinha goes sliding through, no ball, no contact, and Ramsdale just looks at him and then looks up to White. It's like just a moment of, haha, made you look like an idiot. Um,
Yeah.
so Ramsdale has that big personality he brings to playing out from the back. He's ballsy about it. He's happy to do it. And I think Arsenal maybe felt they lost control of the levers on Leno. So in answer to the question, yeah, I think Leno will start playing out from the back more, and it's only Sunderland. So he'll want to prove he can do it too.
Yeah. I mean, he does have to do something. World
Yeah.
Cup, like you said, if he wants to move, he has to be able to do it. So, I mean, I think it's nice having two number one goalkeepers that you can use. So in the meantime, it's a good thing. But we're coming to the end of the time here, guys.
What?
So what I would like to do, yeah, we're almost towards the end of the time. Yeah.
Just getting going.
I know, but also it's more difficult doing previews for games where I think we feel like we're going to smash them. It's one of those. It's Sunderland because we can't really talk about the other team. Do you know anything about Sunderland?
It's up
Do you know
north.
anything about that?
They,
I'm like, I don't know anything about their team. I can't talk about like all I know is the documentary. That's it.
yeah,
I know nothing else about them.
yeah.
So I do know
They're
that their
crap.
coach,
They're in League One.
yeah,
They're third.
yeah, exactly. And I know that their coach said that he wanted to get us or Spurs, and so he got us. So I hope we smash them. I felt
Yeah,
like that was just so like, oh yeah, I'd want Arsenal or Spurs. So like
yeah,
we were the lesser. I mean, Spurs are the lesser, but like we're a good team. Like so it'll be interesting to see like what he tells his team to do if he tells them to go out there and be overly aggressive and slide in on them, their weak Arsenal. It'll be interesting to see what their game plan is, but it's different when you're talking about a team that you don't really know much about, and it should be business as usual today. Like I wouldn't imagine anything crazy happening unless we just completely fall asleep. Arteta goes in with a strong lineup, so we'll see
strong
what happens.
bench. So like I think if it's not happening on the pitch, he'll ring the changes. Five subs. So yeah, I think we're going to stuff him.
I really hope so. What is your score prediction for today? You're usually right,
Well,
aren't you?
I'm usually in the right. Lately, the last 3 or 4 games, I'm emotionally correct, even if the score isn't exactly on. I think we'll beat them 4-1. I think there'll be a sloppy goal at some stage. I mean, there's a lot of new fellas on the pitch. We'll do something silly. 4-1.
4-1. That's
Yeah.
good. No, I got myself off of mute that time. I did because I was typing at the same time and I was like, he's finishing up his answer.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Jessica. I panicked.
I mean,
I'm not the
hey.
goalkeeper you want playing out from the back. I panicked.
Let's see what you guys have. You guys want to let us know what your score predictions are? Let us know in the chat. I've seen some people come in and say Sunderland is going to win it.
What? That's my
I'm not
trick.
sure Yeah. But Lone Star says 3-1 to the Arsenal.
Good man, Lone
Uh,
Star.
Colin
Good
says
man, Colin.
5-0.
Yeah, yeah.
Hopefully that's to the
Good man.
Arsenal. He got us 5-0 to the Arsenal. That's
Father
FR
Chip
Chip
Hines.
Signs.
What
Father,
the?
is that what that means?
Yeah. What the?
Alec 10-0. Let's see. Abhishek says
Abhishek
Abhishek.
Sengupta.
Okay. Okay, you had that one. Okay, 3-0. I mean, these are pretty like what I would expect. 6-0, 5-0, 4-1. Cedric
Zitch.
own goal and hat trick incoming. Maybe
I'll
Cedric
pronounce
scores a
this one,
goal.
Jessica. I'm socially sensitive. Joseph Shelley.
Joseph Shelley.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. There you go.
4-3. That's a little bit too interesting for my liking. I don't want it to be anywhere
Won't
near
be.
that interesting.
It won't be.
3-1. I mean, good score lines. Hopefully we see quite a bit of goals and maybe an opportunity
Now
for Kelly
Toon
Pino to
Trev
come in.
might be pulling for us because he doesn't like Sunderland. Looked like a Newcastle lad, but we'll take it.
Oh yeah, for sure. They do have their
A little bit of a rivalry there.
Yeah, for
it's a
sure.
shame.
But
Those guys should get on. Like they've got a lot in common. It's the same. They have some of the same socio-economic challenges. Really, those Toon Trev, you reach out.
Why are they rivals? It's because they're two different towns. They're not in the same town. Usually rivalries are like same town, different town.
Yeah, well,
but in the same area.
Tends to be how it works.
Yeah, I guess because ours is like,
a little too close.
They're really close. Yeah. But yeah, I guess my score is going to be I think it's going to be 2-0. I know that it's not a huge score line, but I think we'll have that. Oh, we don't really always play together, so it's a little bit rough towards the beginning, and then eventually, Nketiah will score, and I think Pepe will score as well. If we were to get a penalty,
them, Jess, we're going to stuff them.
Well, okay, if we do, I mean, anything above what I've said is good, right?
We're going to Roger them.
Roger them. Roger them. I don't know. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. Some of the things that you say, I don't get the reference.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know what it is. But yeah, this has been awesome. You guys, if you didn't know, this is the first time that I've actually spoken to Paul, just him and I. So it's been a lot of fun. Obviously, he carried me in this show. All of his points were amazing, and mine were just kind of like blah, 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 blah. But I did my best Elliot impression, so there you go. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. There's still
Jessica. I just got to say, I found your viewpoints a lot less reprehensible than Elliot's. So thank you.
Perfect. I mean, I would love to, be the host every once in a while, give you guys a breather from Elliot and his negativity, his constant negativity, and saying that, he wants us to always attack and never defend and, all those things.
Sounds very negative.
Yeah, very negative. But there's about 600 of you guys still here. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Make sure that you guys follow Paul. You follow me at It's Jessinho. And we'll, I guess, instant reaction if you're on the Patreon side, immediately following the game. And then post-match show whenever Elliot tells you guys it is, because I don't know. I wasn't privy to that information. But we'll see you guys after the game and up the Arsenal. Bye, guys.